so sorry. We have time for two more people, and then we have to wrap it up. Steve?
The first time I saw you on television, I said, well, if this guy can prove that he's going to take his trial lawyer attitude and harness it for the United States, that's a good thing. So I respect that you didn't run away from the question about being a trial lawyer, but what I want to know is, how could you approach the problems of this country, and particularly in the technology area since it's so dominant? Give us a little bit of an idea of how your thinking would apply to that kind of a problem, in the same way that you, work like an attack dog as a trial lawyer to get the right result for somebody who really deserves relief.
You mean, I'm not sure I understood the thrust of the question. I understood what you were saying, but so you're asking me what?
I want to hear how you take that experience
As a lawyer?
As a lawyer, and as an extremely effective one for people's rights, and adopt that to, the patient, which in this case is this country.
Okay, now I got you. Well, I think if you spend a lot of your life taking on the cause of individual people, which I did over and over and over, I think you have a pretty good understanding of what it takes to convince people about the right and righteous and the way the country needs to go positions. So I think the capacity to, by way of example, whatever you think politically or personally or in any way about Bill Clinton, I mean, Bill Clinton had the ability to bring the country to the place where he was because he was persuasive, because the case he made sense, it was logical, it used language that people understood, regular language, not complicated. He didn't talk down to people. And I think anybody who has the capacity to convince people, and so it's a much more complicated, all you know already, it's a much more complicated thing than most people think. It's not just about the facts. It's not just about the rightness of your position. It's having the credibility that people actually believe what it is you're saying and have a natural instinct to follow. I mean, what I always said about courtrooms, for example, and I think the same thing applies completely in a public arena, is people think of courtrooms as being about charisma and presence. Courtrooms every trial is a battle for credibility. Who does the jury trust? And whoever they trust, they will follow. And trust means you know what you're doing, you understand the substance of your case, and you're honest with them. I think exactly the same thing's true in the public arena.
We have one more. This is the last one. And I think to answer JD's question possibly, is there a possibility of doing a wiki where there could be a conversation, nonpartisan wiki? Is that even possible? Okay, maybe it was idealistic. So, Senator, you can choose the last person.
Yes.
So just to get back to the discussion about top-down or being distributed or organized, there is actually already a political structure that deals with that, and it's called local government. And in the United States, it's great that it has not just one federal government, but many local governments, state governments, agencies, and that's, I think, a great place to start if you want to address a particular issue. Seattle, for example, has not just local government, but also council governments they help set policy for the city, and they're very local. You can go, and it's just a few thousand people is the sum of the constituency, and the people who are the decision makers are very easy to get to. And if you want to get involved at that level, you can make a big change in local issues. So I would encourage putting your technology energy into talking to those people rather than trying to say, I want to stand behind a presidential candidate, go stand behind a mayor and record what he's saying. And once that becomes a popular thing, then presidential candidates will see it's valuable and begin to do it too.
I think we ultimately need to do both, right? I mean, or all of the above. What you're saying is easier to start at the local level. And that makes a lot of sense because it's harder to get access to. Although I have to tell you, a presidential candidate could decide to do exactly what was described back here a little while ago. A presidential candidate could decide, I'm going to allow somebody to have basically complete access, hopefully not while we're sleeping. But other than that, I'm going to allow you to have complete access because I want the country to know who I really am, not the plastic doll version that looks perfect all the time, but I want you to actually see who I am. Because I think if you see who I am, it takes a lot of confidence. If you see who I am, you'll decide that I'm somebody who should be your president. And I think if somebody does that, it'll change the entire dynamic because all of a sudden the other candidates are under pressure. You know, people don't trust them. They're doing the traditional thing. And I think we could change. I honestly think we could change the dynamic. But you're probably right. And certainly in the short term, starting at the local level makes a lot of sense. The last thing I want to say is this was a big, amazingly enough to you, this was a big priority for me to be able to be here with you for two reasons. I wanted to hear what you were saying, what you're focused on, what you're thinking about. But I also hope, and I'm not asking you, I'd love to have your political support, but I'm not here to ask you for your political support. What I am here to ask you is to help me and others open up this process, make it not top-down, and democratize this democracy we're supposed to be living in. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.